Welcome to At Home with Music, and happy Wednesday, everybody, as we continue our series From Ears to Fingers. So, to sum up very quickly what we've learned so far, you've learned how to construct a scale starting on any note. You've learned how to find the chords that are based on each note of the scale. Then we went through some basic chord progressions. And so now you have the foundation that you need in order to pick out and play a song by ear. And so what I want to do in this video is go through the song playing process. So the first thing we want to do is select a familiar song. And your goal will be to recall the tune and provide it with a correct harmonic accompaniment. In other words, put the right chords to the melody. Now I must emphasize that there may be more than one way to do it. Different chords may work at certain points in the tune. Anyway, we'll demonstrate that as we go. So, select a familiar song, and then what key will the tune be in? Well, any key you want. You now have the equipment to play in any key, but for now we're going to start in the key of C major. And then later on we will learn how to play in other keys. And then step number 3, you pick out the tune and learn to count it. So you're just going to play the tune by itself and then figure out the intervals in the melody in your mind's ear. Then we're going to find the starting tone of the melody. We're going to start by playing a C major chord and figure out where the starting note is. And then we'll go through the rest of the steps here as we go through the song. So the song I'm going to pick is, I'm going to take an old hymn that might be familiar to many of you called Jesus Loves Me, This I Know. Okay, so that's definitely a familiar song. I'm going to play it in the key of C, and the first thing we're going to do is pick out the tune. So how do we find the starting tone of the melody? Well, since we're playing in the key of C major, we're going to play a C major chord, and then we're going to try each of the 3 notes of the chord as the starting note of the tune. Most familiar tunes in the key of C major begin on one of the notes of the C major chord. So what are those 3 notes? C, E, G. So once we find the starting note, then we can pick out the melody. Also in the key of C major, many simple melodies will be played entirely on the white keys with maybe a couple of black keys thrown in. Let your newly trained ear be your guide. So let's pick out the melody. Let's see, is it going to start on this note? Jesus loves... No, that's not right. How about this one? Jesus loves... No, that's not going to work either. How about this one? Jesus loves... Okay, we found a starting note of our tune. So let's just pick out the melody. We already know that that interval is a minor third. There'll be a certain amount of trial and error. You might be able to do this rather quickly. Okay, once you get that part down, that first line repeats again, and then the 4th line is a little bit different. Okay, we're just going to do the first half of the song for the sake of time. Later on your own, I would encourage you to try and figure out the entire thing, including the chorus. Okay, now as you play the melody, look for places where the chords may change. Sounds like that could be all one note, one chord rather. Maybe a different chord there. And then maybe a different chord there. Sounds like that could be all one chord, and then maybe a different chord there, and then back to another one. Maybe another one there. So let's try playing the melody in the right hand and add chords in the left. Now you might be thinking, well, okay, what chords? Well, the song is in C major, and so the first chord will almost always be C major. So let's try that. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Also, you want to think in terms of what is the key, rather what is the time signature, and it sounds like we've got 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So you want to work that out while you're picking out the tune. All right, we're going to start with this C chord. We're going to play it on the first beat of each measure. In other words, every time you come to beat 1, and we'll keep playing it until it doesn't work. And then your ear will tell you that it's time to change. So far, so good? All right, that doesn't sound right. So we need to change chords. All right, what chord should we change to? Well, here's some clues. The C major chord in a simple song like this will usually go to F major or G major or G7 in most simple tunes. The melody notes emphasized will often give good clues as to what chord to use. And, as I mentioned before, sometimes more than one chord will work. So, let's see what happens if we go to G. No, that's not good. How about if we go to F major? Now we stay on F major until it doesn't work. Sounds like it needs to go back to C. That's good. And now we play that first line is now the third line. Okay, we need to change again. Let's try F again. Sounds like we need to change chords in the middle of the measure. Let's see, we could go from F maybe to G. Well, it kind of clashes with that note. Let's try F. Or rather, let's try going back to C. There we go. Now, technically that works, but it sounds like we could stick another chord in there in the last little bit of the song. Let's try... kind of. What if we try G major? There we go. Now, you may have to start slowly and gradually speed up when you're picking out a song by ear, but that's perfectly okay. Every great musician has learned a song in this way at one time or another. So, the homework that you have for this video is to, number 1, select a familiar song. Number 2, determine what key you're going to play it in. At this point, you should be playing it in the key of C, and then we'll play in other keys later. Pick out the tune and count it so that you can get the beat. You may be playing a song that's in 3/4 time or 4/4 time, and those are the two most common time signatures. Although you may end up playing a song in 6/8, but nevertheless, you count it out, figure out the rhythm. Then you start finding the beginning note of the melody by playing the C major chord. When you play in a different key, you're going to use the main chord of that particular key. And you try each of the 3 notes of the chord as the starting notes of the tune, and you'll find the one that works. You pick out the melody, and then you look for places where the chords may change. Now you try playing the melody in the right hand, add chords in the left, and start with C major and see how that works. Let your ear be your guide. And keep playing the tune, playing C on the first beat of each measure every time you come to beat 1 until the chord doesn't work, and your ear will tell you that it's time to change, and then you experiment with what chord to change to. Once again, I can't say this enough when you're playing by ear. Let your ear be your guide. Starts with the ears and goes to the fingers. Thanks for watching and listening, and I encourage you to subscribe to At Home with Music if you haven't already. And be sure to like this video as that helps the channel. In the next video, we're going to talk a little bit about playing as an accompanist and playing as a soloist. There's definitely a difference, and we'll touch upon that in the next video.